episode 22 of the Spring Snowflake podcast. My name is Sophie. You can find me online as Sophie Swan, X-U-A-N. And also there is an Instagram profile for this podcast, which is called Spring Snowflake. You can find me on Ravelry as Sophie Swan as well. This is my podcast, all about my crafty life. Mostly crochet, knitting, bit of sewing, general life stuff from where I live, which is Oxfordshire in the UK. There is a Ravelry group for this podcast if you search a Spring Snowflake podcast on the groups tab, or there is a link in the info box below and also on my show notes. Show notes for this podcast will be, that's the postman, show notes for this podcast will be linked down below, and they are on my blog, so there are links to all of my Ravelry project pages for my things, and also links to most of the makers that won't be linked from Ravelry. So I keep I keep project notes. I don't tend to put a lot of notes in the notes, but I put a lot of information in the boxes on Ravelry just to show you what I've been making, who I've been using in terms of the yarn, patterns, all that kind of stuff. The pictures aren't the best, mostly because I finish a lot of projects late at night, so there's a lot of yellow light that goes on. And at the moment they tend to be presents, as you'll see from the lack of things that I have here for finished objects today. If you did want to support the podcast, I would be eternally grateful. You will have my love forever. But you can do it in two ways. We have a Patreon community. I have a few lovely, lovely patrons on there who are absolutely fabulous, and you know that I love each and every one of you. We just did our quarterly giveaway, which was won by Lisa. And she got a fabulous Hide and Hammer leather project bag and a skein of yarn from my stash. The next giveaway will take place in February, I think, and you get more entries depending on how many months you've been subscribed to the what's the word I'm looking for? Community. There are 3 tiers, so you can just subscribe to get early access to this podcast. You can subscribe to get early access and also entry into our quarterly giveaways, and then there's also the highest tier, which you get an extra vlog from me a month. I haven't done my December vlog, extra December vlog video yet, mainly because I've been doing Vlogmas. So I think I'll do something, because I'll finish Vlogmas on the 24th, I'll do something in the period between Christmas and New Year for my patrons. There is also a way you can support us one-off, which is by going to Ko-fi, Ko-fi, where you can just literally buy me a coffee. I don't drink coffee, so it's tea. You'll see that one of my advent calendars, if you watch my Vlogmas, is from Bird and Blend, and I love my tea. I haven't got any now because I want to do this quickly. The other thing I need to tell you about is the craft bank. So I mod, as well as my own Ravelry group, I mod on the craft bank, which is on Ravelry, and that is basically emulating a food bank. So in the UK here we have food banks that support people that struggle to buy food. The craft bank is not quite that serious, but if you are of low income and you just can't afford to buy a pattern that you want, or you're looking for a particular yarn, anything like that, the craft bank is there to basically pay it forward. So if you have the means and the availability, and you want to sponsor to give away a pattern, it can be a specific pattern. If you're a designer, then you may want to offer one of your patterns, or if you just want to say, I can offer a pattern up to the value of £10, say, then do go on there and support people in their crafting. We are a lovely community, and this is a way of kind of paying it forward and generally being fabulous. So let's get into it. You long-term viewers will realise that I am not in my usual place. I do not have my studio lights on, so we have slightly yellow light that we're dealing with today, and my Christmas tree is behind me. There's one, you can see in shot, one decoration. There are 2 up there. We haven't put our lights up yet because we bought such a big tree that we don't have enough lights to go around the whole tree, so we had to go and buy another set yesterday. So we're going to be decorating our tree tonight. I am filming on Wednesday the 11th of December, so At the moment, I am doing Vlogmas. I think I've put up, we're up to the 8th of December. We're having some fun at home at the moment, and you can watch Vlogmas to find out what that is. And I am exhausted. So editing has kind of fallen down the list of things to do, but I'm hoping that I can get the last couple of days up tonight, as well as editing this. Yay! But yeah, so I'm hoping tonight, after Amelia comes back from school, we can decorate the tree and decorate the house. So that'll be really nice, because I just don't feel festive without having not put the decorations up. So hopefully I'll feel a bit more festive. My show notes are down here on my laptop, so that's why I will be looking down every so often and faffing about every so often as well. So let's get into it. What am I wearing? I am wearing my Sunday shawl from the lovely Alia Bland. She is also known as the Little Bee NZ on Instagram, Facebook, all the places. She is based in New Zealand, and has some beautiful whimsical patterns. The Sunday shawl is probably her most popular. It is a crocheted shawl. I crocheted it out of king cole bamboo cotton, and you have a main kind of, it's a triangular, deep V triangular shawl, and then you've got your main colour, and then you've got this gorgeous patterning and different stitch ending with some picots. I made this ages ago. This is one of my oldest shawls. I am wearing this today because it is one of the only shawls I own that I can chuck in the washing machine. Again, watch my Vlogmas to understand why I need to be wearing things that I can just chuck in the washing machine. Infestation is all I'm saying. Right, that's what I'm wearing. So, before I go into what I've been making, there is a long running that I am co-hosting with the lovely Faye from Crochet Circle podcast. She has podcast far more than I have in the last couple of months, even though hers is only monthly. Yeah, Vlogmas has taken over my life slightly. But yes, so the along is called the Whip Rip 2019. It is a finish along, and we are encouraging to rip through those whips, or to rip them out, so that you can start with a clean slate in 2020 and start all the things that you've been wanting to start, but all these whips have been hanging over you. I have done quite well. I've added loads and finished loads since I last spoke to you, yeah, that's basically kind of what the whip rip is all about. Is it doesn't matter if it's a long-term whip or something you start now, as long as you get it done and get it in our FO thread, which is hosted on Faye's Ravelry group. Well, all the links are in the blog. Then you will be in a chance to win some prizes. I've got a couple lined up. I know Faye is thinking about what she's going to be doing. So yes, we have a fabulous chatter group going on in my podcast group, and the FO thread is in Faye's podcast group, and both of us are dipping in and out. In the FO thread, it's no chatter, so you post a picture, but I am going in there regularly, and I'm basically loving everything. So if you see a love next to yours, one of those will be mine. And I'm going in and kind of trying to reply to quite a lot of the posts that are in my group. There's some awesome things, and I just love that everyone's really getting involved, whether it's stuff that they've just pulled out that's been in the cupboard for a couple of years, or whether it's something that they've started and they're gift making and all that kind of stuff. It all is included. It's not, you don't have to have a long-term, it doesn't have to be long-term whips. Similarly, there is another kind of finish along going on, which is hosted by Laura of The Lonely Knitter. Laura's kind of been on and off social media because she had her little boy last week? The week before. Oh god, that's really bad. But she had a little boy. He's a bit premature, bless him, so she's been in and out of hospital, so she's been a little bit missing from social media and from YouTube. But she is running the Before 2020 along, so if you do also want to double dip, then please feel free to with Before 2020 as well. I certainly am, particularly as I can't put anything in the finished object of my own along, so I'm putting them in Laura's. So those are the alongs. The whip rip will finish on the midnight on the 31st of December, your time. So as soon as everywhere in the world has hit midnight, then we will shut those threads. Well, probably a little bit after. Get them in before like 9 AM on 1st of January or something, but yeah. Faye will close the FO thread, and I'll keep the chatter thread open at midnight on the 31st December or very soon after, and then we will pull for some prizes in the new year. Right, what have I been making? I have 5 finished objects. No, I have 6 finished objects because I haven't put one of them in. Love it. And it's the ones I haven't put in my list, sorry, I'm just typing, are the ones that are here. So let's do the ones that aren't here, because then I can show you pretty pictures on the screen. First things first, I finished some mitts for my little girl. They are the most garish things in the world, but the pattern is the Tinsel Mitts by Andrea Mowry. It's a really good pattern, and it goes from very small child to adult size. There are 3 different types of mitts within the pattern as well, so you can get the fingerless mitts, you can get the full mitts, and then you can get the convertible mitts, which are basically a fingerless mitt, open, not closed fingers, fingerless mitt with a flap. And I made the convertible ones for Amelia because she does forest school and things like that at school. These are particularly for school, but so it means that if she needs to kind of get her fingers out, the thumb is completely enclosed, but she can still be quite dexterous and then put a flap back over, and it's easier for her to put them on. So I'll put a picture here so you can see them. They're really bright. Really bright. You cannot miss her in her set of hat, gloves and scarf, because they're bright. They're really bright. Really good pattern, I highly recommend it. I used some bog standard DK acrylic yarn. I actually don't know what the yarn is. I will have a look. I've got my Ravelry page open. I think it might be King Cole. No, Patterns UK Patterns Fab DK Variegated in the fruity colourway. I would say neon rainbow, but there you go, we'll say fruity. There was some amazing colour pooling that went on. She doesn't care, they're just gloves and she'll grow out of them. But it was acrylic yarn. I can shove them in the wash when they get dirty. They're good. She chose the colours as well. Next finished object is a gift that I made for my mum on the date of her for the date of her graduation. My patrons, that was their November vlog. My mum got her PhD. Yes, PhD, we call it. Yeah, it's a PhD. Oh my god. Oxford they call it a DPhil. Other universities they call it a PhD. Doctor of Philosophy, basically. She has been working so hard to get it all finished and her corrections done, and she graduated from Canterbury Cathedral. There was a vlog for Mum's graduation that went out to my patrons, and Mum got it as well, obviously. So if you want to see my mum in her floppy hat, then come on to Patreon. Come on to Patreon. It was a lovely day, and I made her a bulky weight brioche cowl. It's the first time I've ever done brioche knitting, and I bloomin' loved it. It's called the pattern is the Beginner's Brioche Cowl. It's by Lavanya Patricella? Lavanya Patricella, I'm gonna say. She is very well known for her brioche designs, and I've got her DK brioche bandana on my queue to do at some point. I also want to make this again. I have some yarn from Truly Hooked, her trance colourway in Chunky, which I'm going to hold, which I'm going to alternate with the purple yarn that I used in my mum's cowl. Picture here of my mum wearing it. And it's, yeah, I can't wait to use the trance colourway because I've used it I've used it in my Trelawney shawl, which isn't done yet, and it's just a fab yarn. So I need to get on that after I finished a couple of other things. So the yarn that I used is King Cole Magnum Chunky, which is a wool acrylic mix, and then some Rico Designs Creative Melange Chunky, which is 100% wool, I think. But one of them's variegated and one of them is plain purple, and it looked beautiful, and it's reversible because it's brioche. But that was a really fun make. I really enjoyed that, and it was quick because it was chunky yarn. The next two kind of go together. So teacher gifts, they are wrapped up in a bag in my kitchen, ready to go to teachers today. Amelia breaks up from her preschool on Friday, but I'm going to bring them in today because then they're out of my house and I don't have to forget them on Friday. So first things I made for them was I used some of my DK and Aran weight cotton kind of leftovers to make some little star ornaments. So I'll put a picture here. Added a little button and a ribbon, and they can hang up on their trees. Amelia chose which colours would go to which teacher, so she's been involved in this present making. And then I also made some washcloths. So I've ended up actually, I do use two patterns. One was a knitting pattern, which is the Grammar's favourite dishcloth, which is the #2 version. There we go. Yeah, here we go. And then also the C2C Moss Stitch washcloth, which I've used before, and it's a really good pattern. I really enjoy that one. It's very straightforward. So yes, in the end Amelia only chose the crocheted ones to go to her teacher, so I'll pop a picture in here. But I also made a couple of knitted ones all made out of Lily Sugar and Cream. They're kind of cotton dishcloth cotton in various different colours. So I made 2 of the knitted ones, and then I think I made 6 of the crocheted ones. So 1 crochet, 1 knitted have gone to Christmas presents, and then the other 5 have gone to the teachers. So we've wrapped up 1 little dishcloth or washcloth with a star, and it's all been wrapped up, little card, and they are our teachers' gifts for this year. The next finished object, again I don't have with me because it's been sent to Canada. Yes, my gift along socks were done. So at the last podcast I had a hoe. Yeah, I had a hoe, and I'd finished one of the socks. The other sock has been finished. They are done, they've been blocked. They are shipping their way over to Kimberley right now. Yeah. I cannot remember what day. You will, if you watch my vlog, Vlogmas, you'll know. But yes, so they are heading over to her now, along with a project bag that I granted her in Get Your Wishes, Yarn Wishes Granted as well. So I've made her a project bag that's gone in with that parcel. Kimberley, look away now if you haven't had that parcel yet. Here's a picture of the socks, or a couple of pictures. So yeah, I love this pattern. This is Rianne by Verity Castledine, also known as Truly Hooked. It's part of her book, The Sock Drawer. Really lovely mock cable pattern. I am going to make all the socks in this book. I'm really looking forward to learning some new techniques of how to do lace cable pattern socks. So really fun. Those were my one of my first pair of Strictly socks as part of the Strictly Sock Along 2019. That is being hosted by Ali from Little Drops of Wonderful podcast, also known as Starry Eyes Ali on Instagram. The Strictly Sock Along, for those who don't know, is a sock making along that is you're supposed to basically make socks while watching Strictly Come Dancing, which is a UK dance show. Celebrities are paired with professional ballroom and Latin dancers. That's the very loose rule, but there aren't really that many rules, and you're positively encouraged to rule break. It's a lace pattern, and as I said in my last podcast, I get very into watching Strictly. So I really didn't knit on these socks when I was watching Strictly, so I banked the time. I also had some glittery stitch markers, so glitter balls, sparkles, very Strictly, and also I realised this kind of almost as I was finished, but because I spotted him, Will Young, who was a contestant year before, on Strictly, lives in my town, or in a village just outside my town. So every time I spotted him, which has been a couple of times, I knit a couple more rows. So that's my rule bending for the Strictly Sock Along. I am planning to have another pair of socks finished before the end of the along, which stops at the start of January, I think. I don't know what the exact finish date is, but you can go on to Ali's Ravelry group, the Little Drops of Wonderful podcast group, to get involved in the chatter thread or post your finished objects in the FO thread. The chatter thread is insane. I can't keep up, so I kind of go in every so often and kind of read through things. I don't think I've posted in a while, but I have posted my socks in the chatter thread. There is a link in my show notes to the project page with a few more pictures of the socks. What I have done is, until Kimberly has told me that she's got the parcel, the first picture on the project page, so kind of the title picture, is just the project bag, because I don't want to do any spoilers for her in case she goes on to Ravelry. Last but by no means least of my finished objects are something that I actually can show you. Are they the right way up? Yes. They're leg warmers! These are a present, and they are for a dear friend of mine. You may guess, for those of you who've watched vlogs and things like that, and you may guess who they are for, but this is Stylecraft special Aran weight yarn, and the pattern is called Some Cloudy Day. Oh my god, here we go. I always forget this. I don't know why this pattern name completely goes out of my head. Yeah, Some Cloudy Day, by little Tiny Owl Knits, who is also the designer behind the Hexy Puffs knitted pattern thing that everyone was insane about a couple of years ago. But her pattern is for sport weight yarn, so I combined it with a pattern called Olali leg warmers, which is both of them are free patterns on Ravelry, and they are linked in my Ravelry project page, so that I could get the kind of starting numbers. The rib row counts are different as well from the Some Cloudy Day. So I basically just did, they're exactly identical pretty much. So I did 15 rows of 1x1 ribbing on both ends. There are 10 repeats of the lace pattern. It's a 48 stitch, it's 48 stitches around, so the lace pattern is a 6 stitch repeat, so as long as it was divisible by 6 it was fine. They fit on me a little bit tightly, but this person has got much skinnier legs than me. And I did German twisted cast on, which is a stretchy cast on at the top, and then I did Jenny's super stretchy bind off, the one where you have to do the yarn overs, and it flares a little bit, but actually it's not that bad. I'm quite happy with the amount of flare there. And look, ready? Whee! I love this bind off. On socks I don't like it as much because it flares a lot more. But yes, so if I show you the stitch pattern, it's kind of little butterflies. I really like it. But yeah, when you stretch it, you can see quite a lot of leg, but it's still quite warm because it's Aran weight. So yes, these are being wrapped up tonight and given to the recipient tomorrow. And those are my finished objects. Right, rattle through, Sophie, because you've got half an hour till you have to go and do pickup. Works in progress. I have been mostly Advent. So this is a present. I showed you the octopus last podcast. I've done a few more, but it literally looks about the same thing. I'm kind of decreasing now and stuffing it, so I'm not going to bother showing you. I will show you on the next podcast. And I've got one more gift that I need to start, which I'm taking away with me this weekend. So for the most part, I've just been doing Advent projects, and I have 3 yarny Advent calendars this year and a tea. I mentioned Bird and Blend, so Bird and Blend Advent calendar, which is really cool every day. And then I have DK Advent calendars, 20 gram minis from Vicky Brown Designs and also Strawberry Fields yarn. And I have the Fibre Lounge Advent selection box, which is 10 gram fingering weight minis. So every day. And if you've been watching my Vlogmas, Amelia helps me open that every day, which is a lot of fun. So the other things I have been working on, because I want to get them finished, so my temperature blanket, which is in my Yarnivore tote bag. I have taken quite a lot of the warmer colours out of the bag, but this thing is huge. So I've been adding my square a day. I haven't added I haven't added yesterday's yet, but it is giant and I love it. It is it's single bed size width. I don't think it's going to be quite length when it's finished. It's going to be 18 squares by 21 squares in dimension, and it looks amazing. If I get a chance, I will take a photo of the progress as it is right now and pop it in here. But otherwise it's just trucking along. I am determined to get this finished by midnight on the 31st of December so that I can start my daily blanket for next year on the 1st of January. I am thinking of joining in with Sharon from SCL1TNO's Cozy Memory Blanket. I'm not sure. I might do the crocheted version. Sharon, is that allowed? If I do kind of a mitered square pattern, but do it as crochet rather than knitted, can I be allowed into your along? Sweet smile. Anyway, but that's what I'm thinking of joining that in with that as my kind of daily one for next year, but not doing temperature. Temperature was fun, and it'll be a really nice like memento of the year, but yeah, there were days and weeks where I was using the same colour over and over again, and it just got tedious. And I quite like the idea of picking out a colour and doing a square every day. And I've got loads of 4-ply minis, so I'm thinking I might do that. But I kind of want to do a crocheted version, not Cozy Memory. Sharon, can I please join in with your... Can I please play with you? Right, other blanket that is... Oh, it's so nearly done. But other things have got in the way. Yeah, I'm like halfway around the last round of the border. I could finish this tonight, to be honest. It's my Truly Hood blanket. It's so bloody amazing and I love it. But yeah, I am on the border, which... Oh, here we go. So I've done 2 rounds of... Is that right? No, 2 rounds of straight granny, and then 1 round of this kind of shell stitch. But I love it. It's going to be a lovely lap blanket. Something that's going to go on our snug, in our snug. Oh, it might go in here actually. It's going to be used though, because this thing is heavy and gorgeous and warm. So yes, my Truly Hood Blanket Club. Again, I will try and pop a picture in here of the progress. To be honest, I might try and finish this tonight now that those leg warmers are done. I might try and finish this tonight and have it done. That'll be nice. And I've got quite a lot of the undyed yarn left. So I'm going to save that for this year's Advent blanket, because I'm going to unravel last year's Advent blanket and put the 2 together. But I'm going to need some extra yarn, so I don't know if it's going to be that colour, that one, or if I'm going to add some other colours in, don't know. But I've got 2 skeins of undyed DK, full skeins, so I can definitely use those as borders, putting things together, all sorts, for another blanket. And I have just signed up for 2020's Truly Hood Blanket Club. Slightly different. Verity and I were talking about on Messenger about, not Messenger, on DMs, Instagram DMs, about kind of, should she stick with the rainbow, should she do something else? And I think she's going to do... She's kind of taken one of my ideas, and I think she's expanded it, which is really cool. I'm like, I am not a yarn dyer. I'm not really an artist. My colour theory is great, and all that stuff. I'm the daughter of an artist. My mum, that was her first kind of love before history, so my theory about colour and art is pretty good. My ability is not great. So being able to kind of help an artist, basically, because that's what yarn dyers are, aren't they? They take their ideas and they paint them onto yarn. Just because they're not doing it on a canvas doesn't not make them artists. So yeah, I'm quite... It gives me a little warm feeling that I've helped. But yeah, so I'm getting the... I'm doing something a little bit interesting. So she does them in... She's going to be doing them in 20-gram DK. So you get either 2 20-gram DK minis every month, I think it's £10, or you get 2 50 grams DK or Aran, and then 200 grams DK or Aran every month. And I have asked her if I can have 1 20-gram set and 1 50-gram set, so I get 70 grams of each colour each month, but because I have a particular pattern that I want to do, and if I wanted to get 2 squares of each colour, I'll need more than 50 grams. So yeah, maths, but yeah, that's my club for next year. I might dabble in a few other ones if I feel I've got the budget, but to be honest, next year is all about saving for Rhinebeck. I have bought my tickets, my plane tickets, to go to Rhinebeck in October 2020, mainly because we were getting them on air miles and they were slowly disappearing for that weekend. So I have booked, I am going to New York. I am flying from Heathrow to JFK on the 15th of October 2020, and I'm flying back on the 19th of October 2020. If anyone else is going to Rhinebeck, let me know. Because otherwise I'm checking into a hotel and I'm all on my own. Anyway, right. So in this bag is two of my Advent. This is the Yarn Advent bag, which is from Vicky Brown. This came in day 1, as well as a mini of my Advent calendar from Vicky Brown, and I'm assuming that Charlie, who is her sister and the other half of Stitcher Tees, which is Vicky's other enterprise, made this. But it means that my Advent minis can go in here. I actually brilliantly have forgotten to bring down the squares that I have finished, but I am using my Advent minis, both of them. I'll put a couple of pictures of the squares that I have done. I am using them and I'm doing my favourite thing, a moss C2C moss stitch square, so it is diagonal. Come on. Oh, focus on the damn thing, please. Thank you. I think this is day 5. Yeah, I'm behind. I'm not putting any pressure on myself to do these squares. This is moss stitch, so C2C, and hello, hi. So each day's colours are going together. This is a Vicky Brown one, and then I have my Strawberry Fields one, which is based on book covers. And every day on my Vlogmas I am opening my Advent calendar and I'm telling you what either the name of the Vicky Brown one is or the book that inspired the Strawberry Fields one. And I tend to show you the book cover as well. So I've forgotten her name, that's really bad. Lady behind Strawberry Fields Yarn has sent us an email that has a list of the book titles and their authors, and also then JPEGs to show us. So if you want to spoil the colours kind of suggestion, then you can scroll through. I am trying not to. But yeah, so each day I am making the increases in one colour and then the decreases in another, so I'm getting a lovely half square triangle, and they will end up being sewn together into one big blanket. I'm also then going to unravel last year's Advent blanket and do the same with those colours, although it'll be slightly different because last year I had a 20 gram and a 10 gram. And those two 10 grams went together. So what I might do is do one day of Vicky Brown, 1 and 2 of the Fibre Lounge from last year, and then the next, so day 2 of Vicky Brown will be with a contrast like that white. I think that's probably what I'm going to do. And also with those minis, some of them I used in a shawl that I made, my rainbow relay shawl, so they're not all full 10 or 20 grams. So yeah, but it will all make a fabulous blanket. It's a long-term project. I'm picking this up when I want to, but I do have a couple more gifts that I have to finish before Christmas, so that's the plan. I have a little stitch marker on here as well, which is from my Yarn Book Club, Vicky Brown, which is my little book stitch marker, so it's all good. This I'm doing on a 4.5mm hook with DK Yarn, and it's working out really nicely. It doesn't have to drape too much, it's a blanket. I want it to be quite close, but the texture I think is, the gauge is really nice. The other thing that's in here is what I'm making out of my Fibre Lounge minis. So coming from my Advent selection box. Are you focused? No. Hi. So the second thing that's in this bag, same bag, is another Advent project, which is the Snagged Stitch Cowl by Louise Sherwood of the Fibre Lounge. It's from the Fibre Lounge minis, so it's the pattern that goes with the Advent calendar, and this is what it looks like right now. These chain stitches will end up being braided together, which is really quite cool. So this is a mix of all the kind of commercial and hand-dyed yarns that the Fibre Lounge sells, so kind of partial skeins that they have with they're all little 10-gram minis. So in here we've got Baramu Titus, there's a couple of colours in that, there's Coupe Knit Socks Yeah in here, there's a Die Candy mini, this last blue is Third of Volt, the light green at the bottom is Harbour Crochet. This is a DK weight pattern, so she suggests that if you have the 4-ply version, then you hold it double, and I have been practicing my Nostopin skills with something that I put in my little girl's advent calendar. Yes, my friends, this is a dinosaur pen, but it is perfect as a Nostopin. So I've been wrapping centre pull balls around this with my mini every day, and it's been actually a really nice meditative thing to do. So I've been really enjoying it. I've been really enjoying the setup and the prep for this. I've been really enjoying it's a quick spin round crochet wise. So yes, that's 2 of my advents. The other advent I have is I am taking part in the Wham Cal. This is a self-striping ball of yarn that was pre-ordered from the Yarn Badger. I came across this post. I've been following Liz for a while, and I know how amazing she is at self-striping yarn, but she posted a picture of the album cover, or the single cover of Last Christmas by Wham, and went, who wants to get involved in this? And basically, I'd never heard of this. This is Whamageddon. Whamageddon is a yearly challenge where you try and get through the 1st to the 24th of December without hearing Wham's classic Christmas hit, Last Christmas. I failed because I heard it on day 2. What Liz did is she sent out a self-striping ball of yarn, and the rules are that basically you knit a stripe every day until you hear that song, and then you have a special mini that goes into the sock when you hear the song and are whammed, as it were. This is the project bag that came with the yarn, and then I am doing 2 socks concurrently on DPNs, and I wound the ball so they were exactly 50 grams, cut it at the change in a stripe, which means that my socks are not matching. They will have the same colours in them, but not in the same order. So the DPN holders, this is by Little Grey Girl, and this is by my lovely friend Marie, who is Simply Sew by Mimi on Instagram. I will link all these people below. And I am putting a stitch marker in every 10 rows. I'm doing it by size. The pattern I am using is, oh, here we go, I cannot remember for the life of me. By Wendy Johnson, Toe Up Socks with a Difference. She has her gusset increases on the heel, so on the underside, rather than running up to kind of your ankle bones. Her gusset increases are on the heel, or underneath the foot, basically. So I thought I'd try these. I've heard Wendy Johnson's name, Laura from the Knit Girls. Yes, the Knit Girls talks about her patterns all the time, her toe up patterns. So I thought I'd give this one a try. I'm using a 68 stitch count round, so she 4 stitches more than her pattern. It's a free pattern on Ravelry, by the way. But I thought it'd be good to mark every 10 rows to see actually, to see how many rows I would need to do before I start the increases. So I know measurements wise what I should do, but if I like this pattern, then this might become my toe up vanilla pattern of choice. We got a little badge, which is the same graphic as on the bag. I have my gobstopper balls here, and then this is the mini that goes in when you are whammed. It is the most beautiful variegated skein. Come on, there we go. It's all sparkly yarn, and if you look, where can you see it? You can see it better on this one. On the toe of this sock, it's in here. Come on. There we go. It's just beautiful. So I'm doing a stripe of these every day. All the different stitch markers are from different places. So I've got a couple of Corner Craft beaded stitch markers. I've got my lovely rainbow sheep there. I have no idea where I got this one from. This is from So Beautiful by Nicola as part of a bag order that I made. This is Copo UK, this one. And this is the Santa's knit sack, little wooden one from Faye at Knit It Hook It, which I got from her collaboration with River Knits and Hide and Hammer last year. Right, those are my whips. I have put a link to my other projects in my show notes if you wanted to have a look. I do have a number of whips that are laying dormant right now, which I wanted to finish by the end of the year, but to be honest, I'm having too much fun with the things I'm doing already, and I've got 2 more things that I need to finish for Christmas, so maybe I'll get back to a couple of them after Christmas. So, new things. I placed an order with Nicola, so you remember I won a skein of her hand spun and also a project bag, and I love that project bag so much that when she put up a Christmas bag I had to get it. So, oh, don't need that. I got this one with the little Christmas doggies, and you'll see that there's a pin on there which is part of the Pin Knit Club from Sue Stratford, which is a little red cup, or a little coffee cup. And then while I was there, I've also been very intrigued by Japanese knot bags, so I bought just a simple little Japanese knot bag. It's a great one for kind of running around. So it's this kind of turquoisey blue, and then it's got the stripes on the back. But it's a great like one skein. Yeah, I really like it. So lovely bags from So Beautiful by Nicola. Again, I'll link to her shop in the show notes. The other bag that is brand new for me is this one because I made it. If you watch day 1, which was the 24th of November in my Vlogmas, you'll see that I made 4 of these bags, and the other 3 went to the lovely Lisa, Joe and Flick when I met them in Guildford for a bit of a yarny meetup, which was really nice, and we're going to try and do that a bit more regularly. Yarn shows are great to meet up, but they're quite frenetic, they're quite busy. There's not very many places to sit. We had a really nice brunch in Bill's, wandered around Guildford, so if you want to go and see, not very much of that because I didn't vlog very much of it, but if you want to go and see, then go and have a look at Vlogmas Day 1. There is a Vlogmas playlist on my channel if you wanted to. Other things that I got are my advents. So I have an advent, as I've said, I've got the 3 advents, but I also got a 12 Days of Christmas box from Giddy Yarns, which is a charity box and contributed to by quite a few different indie dyers. So I'm really looking forward to opening that on the 25th of December. So I'm going to do proper 12 Days of Christmas all the way up to the 6th of January for Epiphany. So I basically carry on the advent pretty much through December and into January. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing those. I won't be vlogging those, but I will try and put a picture every day up on my Instagram, my personal Instagram profile, so you can see kind of what is in that box. Right, last but by no means least, my spotlight. I will talk a little bit about life update, but there isn't really much to say. So my spotlight this time is about size inclusivity. So I've touched on size inclusivity a couple of times, but one, I wanted to basically point the spotlight at Katie. So she is at KTB, the letters KTB38 on Instagram, and she has been tirelessly working to promote and to shine a spotlight herself on mostly size inclusivity in terms of designs and things, but actually what it's kind of turned into has also been talking about how yarn festivals and shops can make their spaces more accessible for people who are slightly larger, and things like stopping fat being a bad word, like and also distinguishing between sizes within those who are of a larger size. So I would call myself of a larger size. I am deemed as plus size because I'm over a size 6, well, I'm a size 16 UK, which means that actually for a lot of high street fashion stores, I can fit into their plus size ranges. So while I am on the larger scale, I'm at the small end of it. And actually, for the most part, I can still clothe myself in typical high street fashions. There are certain stores that I just can't shop in because they don't like my size, apparently. But I still have quite a lot of choice. As you go up the sizes, then the choice diminishes. So she's been doing a lot of work in terms of talking to pattern designers about increasing their sizes up to at least a 68-inch chest. And there are some designers that have already been doing that. So Joji Locatelli has been amazing at that. She's always been very size inclusive. There are a large number of Tin Can Knits. I'm going to say Tin Can Knits. Tin Can Knits have always been quite size inclusive, but they've always done a huge range of sizes anyway of their clothing. And a lot of the smaller kind of starting out designers are listening and doing it straight away. Verity from Truly Hooked, all of her newer patterns are size inclusive. And there is a brilliant Instagram profile called Fat Test Knits, where pretty much all they do is they encourage designers to grade their patterns to the sizes that make their patterns more inclusive, but also they send out shout outs for people to test knit. But what Casey's done is she did an amazing piece of work a couple of weeks ago where she asked people about kind of test knits and what would make your life easier when you're test knitting and test crocheting, the larger sizes, talking about kind of discounts on yarn and time scales and all that kind of stuff, and it's brilliant. She has so much stuff saved in her highlights on her Instagram, so I would encourage you, and I will put a link in my show notes, to go and have a look at her story highlights. If you don't know what I'm talking about, when you go onto someone's Instagram profile, you'll see kind of their information. You can click on their picture to go to their stories that have been done in the last 24 hours. There's the grid underneath, and for the most part everyone will have stories, so story highlights, which are the little circles above the grid, and they'll have different themes, most people. So do go and click on those and have a look at some of the things that she's done. One of her friends, and I cannot remember who it was, turned some of her research into really great infographics, and they're really helpful. So do go and have a look at that. It's a good resource if you're a designer. It's a good resource if you're just a person that wants to try and be as inclusive as possible to people. It's something that I've been thinking about with the one design that I've got on the books at the moment is a cowl. I want to make sure that that's going to be big enough to fit everyone. I don't want something that people are going to be put off with because actually it's too small to go around their necks, or that it just doesn't sit right. So it's the same with when I eventually go onto the shawl pattern that is kind of the same ilk, that I want to make sure it's big enough that it will fit around all body sizes. And that actually I put into the pattern notes ways in which you can increase the width or decrease the width of it depending on what you want to do. So it's definitely on my mind, even as a fledgling baby designer, and I think it's a really important thing to think about, particularly as well with festivals. So if you're a festival organizer, or if you organize retreats, all that kind of stuff, think about the spaces that you create. Are they accessible for people who are of a larger size? Is your booth big enough that someone will feel comfortable coming in and browsing without feeling like they're going to be told to go or stared at because they're taking up all the room, or all that kind of stuff? It's important that we try and include everyone, and you do have to think about size inclusivity within that. Right, literally the only bit of life update I have is that we are doing Vlogmas. I've talked about it a lot. It's a lot of fun. I've been a bad vlogger over the last 24 hours because infestation. We have head lice. Amelia has head lice. She's been itching for a couple of, well, she was itching for a day, for an afternoon, and we were kind of like, let's just check your hair, and yeah, the buggers were in there. So we've been combing, and it's been harrowing, and I've really just not felt like switching a camera on and turning to my haunted face that's had to listen to my child screaming. She's okay, it doesn't hurt, it's just uncomfortable. And she doesn't like it. She doesn't like being messed with. And she's 3, she doesn't understand. So we've shown her what is coming out of her head. Blah. And we've been treating ourselves with the combs and stuff like that. But yeah, it's not fun, and I'm just not in the mood to turn the camera on to myself, which makes for a good vlogmas, doesn't it? Other than that, we are prepping for Christmas. We've done one of our family Christmases already. Obviously, as I said, we're going to vlog putting all the decks up tonight. I am going down to Kent this weekend to see, to help out on my brother's Christmas fair stand for the last weekend of the Leeds Castle Christmas Fair. If any of you are down in Kent this weekend and you want to stop by, I will be on one of the Tiger Tree stands. It's all about gifts and things like that. I'm on the baby and children's stand, which is always fun. So yes, Leeds Castle Christmas Fair, do come and see me. And then the weekend after is the weekend before Christmas. We have our wedding anniversary on the 23rd, 13 years married, yay. And I think my mum's going to come down for the day so that we can go out and have a little date and celebrate 13 years of putting up with each other. And then my mother-in-law is coming down Christmas Eve and leaving on Boxing Day, so it'll be a relatively quiet Christmas because it'll just be 3 adults and small person, but she's really got into Christmas this year. She's so excited. Yeah, it's really fun. She talks about Christmas all the time. But we're not going overboard this year. Like, we've got so many toys. I really don't need anything else, so I've said to Chris, don't buy me anything. Yeah. I'm really looking forward to a nice family Christmas. Quiet, still drinking, lots of food, just revelling in the joy of a 3-year-old. Yeah, we had a nativity yesterday, oh my god. I didn't cry. It was very emotional though, and she looked so grown up as an angel, and it was lovely. So yeah, I think that's about it. Amelia breaks up from school on Friday, so we're properly into Christmas holidays. I have to go and take her to Autoglass for 3 hours on Monday because, yeah, that's fun. So yes, all go here. And Vlogmas. Right, I'm going to go because it's time to go and pick up my child, and I managed that in less than an hour, and I'm really impressed with myself. All that remains to say is I hope you have a wonderful Christmas. I hope you get every little yarny bit that you've asked for. I hope you get some time to sit and craft during the festive period, because that's always a way to escape the hustle and bustle. And I will see you on the next one. Bye!